Part one, a busy Saturday morning. At the time, I had 3 kids, all of them home, between school age, middle school and high school. And it was a Saturday morning that my husband was actually making breakfast. He was actually literally flipping pancakes, and everybody was home. The kitchen was abuzz, and I got a phone call. The phone call was from a number I didn't know. It was from Florida. I don't typically answer numbers I don't know. I let it go to voicemail and then I call back. And this particular morning, for whatever reason, I answered it. And when I answered it, there was a woman on the other side end of the phone. And I was having a hard time hearing because our kitchen was so busy and abuzz with activity that I went to the landing in our stairs and sat down with my phone. And the story that was shared with me was a woman who had just completed the Elijah Project with a group from her church. And she was asking if she could translate it into Spanish. And I guess I've been thinking a lot about this. I was in this season in my life that I called the yes season, where if somebody asked me something, I said yes. So without much thought, I said, yes, what do you need in order to be able to translate the Elijah Project into Spanish? And she said, well, if you send me the manuscript, I'll translate it. She and I have laughed since then, thinking about how crazy it was that this lady that lived in Ocala, Florida, who I'd never met before, that I was like, what's your email? Here, let me send you the manuscript. But she was good for her word. She translated it into Spanish. And not too long after that call, I got the manuscript back in Spanish. And the only thing I had asked for was, if you translate it, and she wanted to take it on a mission trip to Cuba. And I was fine with that. But I said, if you translate it, can you send it back to me? I'll create workbooks and I'd like to offer it as another Elijah Project resource. She said, sure. So she sent it back and she said, could you get some copies for me? I was thinking about this morning as I was mulling over this story and remembering that I said yes. We had, our means were very, very tight at that season of our life. And so for me to say, yes, I do $100 of printing, and then yes, I would ship them to her, was it was actually a lot of money. And I said yes. And I shared with my husband. I told her I would get these formatted, printed, and sent back to her. And he was like, okay. And so we did. I sent them. Didn't hear anything. And then I got a picture. It was of my friend Ingrid's luggage. Her luggage was open. Her suitcase was open. And in it was a stack of the Elijah Project workbooks. And she said, on our way to Cuba. In a busy life, as a lot of you might resonate with, I don't say every single detail of what's happening or what's being said to me to my husband, but this was one of those moments where I was like, I just need to tell you that the Elijah Project workbook is going to Cuba right now. Don't have a clue what that means, but it is. Well, it was about 4 or 5 days later, I received a text video of a group of about 25 women in a gazebo. They were outside and they were all holding their Proyecto de Elias workbooks. And they said, gracias, Andrea, por the Proyecto de Elias. I just sat there like, oh my gosh, 25 women in Cuba just completed the Elijah Project. This is amazing. Shared the video, excited. Oh my gosh, what an amazing ministry. And then my husband said, you're going to get asked to go to Cuba. And I said, I don't speak Spanish. I mean, I took 6 years of it between high school and college, but I don't speak it. I understand a word or a phrase here and there. That would be crazy. And he goes, they're going to ask you. And so literally about 5 days after receiving that video, Ingrid called and was telling me the highlights of the trip and said, we'd like you to come. And I said, normally I would say I need to ask my husband, except he already told me that you were going to ask me this. And he already said I needed to go. So I said yes. And that was the first part of this Elijah Project journey.